Imagine slipping into the velvet hush of midnight, not fleeing in fear, but with a fire blazing in your chest no one else can see. Your world falls silent behind you, alone yet utterly secure. You're guided by an inner flame, brighter than noon's sun. This isn't a ghost story or thriller. It's the raw poetry of the soul's deepest transformation. Welcome to the dark night of the soul. Not a buzzword for burnout, but a profound mystical odyssey penned by a 16th century Spanish friar who knew chains, exile, and ecstasy. At its core, this dark night is intense spiritual desolation. Inner turmoil, where purpose, meaning, even identity seem to dissolve. It's an existential crisis, a crisis of faith, shaking beliefs' foundations. Yet this isn't mere sadness. It's a spiritual stripping of attachments and illusions, purifying the soul through painful fire. It's a tunnel with no visible light, but paradoxically, a step toward clarity, freedom, and enlightenment. Today we'll uncover what this dark night truly means, a sacred unraveling, a divine ambush forging union with the infinite. We'll trace its roots in St. John of the Cross's luminous poem, unpack its layers through academic lenses, and explore how psychology echoes his wisdom. Buckle up. This isn't fluffy spirituality. It's a roadmap through shadows to something unbreakable. Let's start in the cell of a Carmelite monk. St. John of the Cross, born Juan de Yepes y Alvarez in 1542, mystic, poet, reformer, who was no stranger to darkness. Imprisoned in a Toledo monastery in 1577 for his radical push for contemplative simplicity, he scratched his verses on scraps by candlelight. From that cell came the Dark Night, or Noche Oscura, a 10-stanza masterpiece from 1578, a coded blueprint for the soul's ascent to God. John didn't invent the night motif. It echoes biblical cries like Psalm 88's forsakenness or the Exodus pillar of cloud veiling divine fire. But he forged it into a lyrical allegory of purgation. 2 nights, one for senses, stripping worldly cravings, one for spirit, blinding the mind to force faith alone. The poem, a love song masked as a stealthy escape, celebrating the soul's union with the divine beloved. Here's the opening from a scholarly English translation. Once in the dark of night, when love burned bright with yearning, I arose, a windfall of delight, and how I left none knows, dead to the world my house in deep repose. In the dark where all goes right, thanks to a secret ladder, other closed. O windfall of delight, in the dark enwrapped in those, dead to the world my house in deep repose. Sister M. Dolores Oak's 1980 Marquette thesis unpacks that secret ladder as faith, a hidden article cloaking the soul in humility, ascending beyond rational light into God's obscure embrace. The house in deep repose, not cozy slumber, but sensory appetites mortified, stilled like a battlefield after surrender. John calls this the night of the senses, purging vices, greed, lust, envy, so the soul stands secure by losing illusions. Now the poem's climax. O dark of night, my guide, night dearer than anything all your dawns discover, O night drawing side to side, the loved and is alone. The lover was sunk in rest. I cherished him, my own. There, in air, from plumes of cedar blown. Oak sees this as transformation. The soul once fractured merges with the divine lover, echoing Song of Songs' bridal mysticism. The cedar air evokes Edenic purity, post-purgation bliss. But John insists this demands aridity first. Intellect darkened, will withered, memory emptied. Not depression, but divine surgery. Resonating with Jung's shadow work, where ego dissolves to birth the self. John endured this night amid personal crises, viewing it not as punishment, but as divine love. The darkness as God's purifying presence, stripping illusions to reveal clear sight, the beloved. The dark night isn't vague malaise. It's divine detox, active at first, renouncing attachments, passive later, where God ambushes faculties with emptiness. Senses starve of consolations. Spirit gropes in faith's fog. John writes, this dark night is an inflow of God into the soul, which purges it of its ignorances and imperfections, natural and spiritual. Oak traces the tripartite soul: sensory, imagination, appetites; spiritual, intellect, will, memory. Purged stage by stage. The night isn't chaos, it's structured liberation. Faith causes darkness in the intellect to illuminate supernaturally. It's the ego's forge. Mortify appetites and freedom blooms. Picture a caterpillar in its cocoon. The creature dissolves, formless, trapped in dark confinement. Yet this desolation bursts the butterfly. Similarly, the dark night breaks down old identities, confronting fears, illusions, ego, to forge a soul ready for divine union. It's becoming empty to be filled, a painful alchemy turning base metal into gold. Does a 450-year-old poem hold up in the lab coat world? Yes. Academia and psychology dialogue quietly with John, framing his night as a rite of passage, not a red flag. In Developmental Spirituality, the Journal of Psychology and Theology in 2000, calls it a biblical archetype of suffering unto glory, like Christ's Gethsemane or Paul's thorn. Psychologically, it's ego death for rebirth. Dryness in prayer signals God's shift from beginner's consolations to contemplative depths. Not pathology, but pivot, from striving to surrender. Jungians dig deeper. David Ordericio's 1994 Transactional Analysis Journal piece alchemizes John's night as the psyche's plunge into the numinous, Jung's dark side of God. John writes of an immense and dark load, agony and pain, where death feels like relief, yet this births the integrated self. Jung footnoted John in his alchemical works, seeing darkness as divine proximity. The night mirrors the fool's leap or the hermit's solitude, stripping the psyche to reveal its core. This archetype isn't exclusive to Christianity. A 2015 study in the Journal of Transpersonal Psychology by Thomas Moore compares John's dark night to the Buddhist concept of dukkha, suffering a path to liberation. In Buddhism, the pain of impermanence strips illusions, much like John's purgation, leading to nirvana's clarity. This universality underscores the dark night as a human experience, transcending faith traditions. Clinically, a 2023 Journal of Spirituality and Mental Health study by Sarah Johnson reframes John's aridity as spiritual liminality, a threshold where faith crisis foster growth. Unlike depression, it's hopeful, socially engaged, meaning-driven. Think Viktor Frankl's logotherapy. Suffering refines purpose. John's Night, a universal hack for depth in a shallow age. Moments of existential questioning or painful personal growth, an alchemical turning of base metal into gold. John's Midnight teaches us that the dark night isn't the end. It's the secret ladder to dawn. In a world chasing light, shadows school the soul, forging lovers from the lost. Picture a ladder of starlight, each rung a step through your own darkness. What fear or illusion might you release to climb higher? Scholar, seeker, or skeptic, let this stir your quiet uprising. Share a poem line or your own ladder in the comments. The dark night of the soul is excruciating but transformative. Whether a spiritual crisis, personal loss, or existential breakdown, this journey through darkness can lead to a brighter, clearer sense of self and purpose. If you're walking this path, you're not alone. Countless souls have traversed these shadows, and dawn always follows. Be kind to yourself on the journey. Thank you.